God, it's breezy. Jon Wedger Brew with a view. Let's have a look around London. Let's do a little panoramic. There we go. Here's London, all its glory, all its glory. There we go. There we go, the eye. It's really weird. If you go to the eye, which is there, which is opposite Parliament, and just down the road from the eye, a load of buildings that actually look like owls. They actually look like a Parliament of owls. It's really weird. There we go. And let's spin it round, all the way round, and over there is Wembley. That's Wembley there, look. That's the old Wemblers. And I've got a massive mug of tea. Right, hi everyone, sorry a bit late. I had to give a bit of legal advice on something, so I'm going to family court matter, so these things happen. I'm going to zip up my thing. Do you know what? I've been doing this for 10 years. It was all right up until like the lockdown here, and then I started to get old. It's awful old. Anyway, let's have right, let's have a look. Oh, we got plenty of people, bare people watching. I can't stand all that talk, all that roadman talk. It really drives me nuts. And what I hate now about all the modern comedies, they all get like, the old 20-somethings all talk like that. It's really horrible. And what it is, it's stripping us of our culture. Where's the Cockney accent gone? There is no Cockney accent left in London. I'm telling you, they all talk that bear this, bear that, swear down and all that crap. And the Cockney accent has gone. It's extinct. It's gone, it's finished. That's it, gone. The Geordies still have their thing. Belfast still has their thing. Right, got Liverpool, they still got their thing. But the Cockney, gone. Absolutely finished. They've all gone. If you go to Essex, you might get a little bit of it. Or Southern Hertfordshire, but right, so here we go. Right, now what I said I'd do is I'm going to explain the dynamics of grooming. So we're not allowed to say grooming gangs, are we? You get YouTube strike. Why are you getting a YouTube strike for saying a grooming gang? Why? For what reason? What is contentious and have to say GGs? I find it really immature, and like I said before, it's once you control your speech, you control your thinking, and I refuse to have that. I'm not. No. I want to articulate, and if I want to say paedophile, I will say paedophile, right? And if someone is a victim of unlawful sexual intercourse, then they have been raped. They've not been graped, have they? They've only been graped when there's a bunch of them. Boom. Right? Anyway, a bit of a sick joke there, but so there we have it. Now, so all we hear about Pakistani grooming gangs, and all that. So in no way denying their existence, and I'm not at all, right? They are an issue, and they have been protected by local and central government, without a doubt. And there is an agenda, very, very loaded pro-Islamic agenda going on, in my opinion, with that. In my opinion. So, but let's just talk about grooming. What is grooming? Grooming is manipulating a relationship, right, with a vulnerable person for the purpose of exploiting them, usually sexually. Okay? Right, someone sent me a message and I can't read it unless I press that button. You can't say it's S.A. I said beautiful ginger. All right, a sexual assault essay. Yeah, it's just crap, isn't it weird? Yeah, Bonnie Blue can go on and talk filth and and everything else, and that's okay, that's allowed on there. But we say a word that which isn't in any way vernacular, vulgar. It's a word, isn't it? It's a doing word, you know. And so, why is it? It's so effed up, isn't it? I say effed up because I don't like swearing anymore. So that's why I do that. So that's, you know, but it's wrong. So anyway, so when we look at when someone builds a relationship, falsely builds a relationship with a vulnerable person, i.e. a young person, by decree of age, then indicates vulnerability, all right? So an under 16, shall we say, got a bit of a beard, doesn't have to have a shave, for the purpose of exploiting that vulnerable person, usually sexually. So we see it with these Kashmiri minicab drivers from the provincial towns, mainly the northern ones, that have been doing this en masse, and therefore have come under the moniker of grooming gangs, because there's a gang of them, right? So, yeah, right, but look who's done that in the past. Who has done that? 80% of all abuse goes on in the home, fact, right? Ipso facto, there you go, right? 80% of it in the home. So what if you've got a touchy-feely uncle who's all charming and all nice and all friendly? And let's remember, it's not a monster who grooms, but it's a monster who abuses, and they're the same person, right? And I said this before, and this isn't sour grapes or anything, when you see people that are good salesmen or good at chatting up birds, right, for example, it's grooming. They will tell that person what they want to hear. You're beautiful, you smell nice, you're lovely, all complimentary. But do they really mean it? No, they're after something, right? They want to have it off. End of. Let's stick to it while it is, right? It is grooming, right? It's not illegal, but it's grooming. And it's such a salesman, you know, double glazing or cars or whatever it might be. A good waiter will do that. How are you? Lovely to see you. Is it really lovely to see that person? Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe it's a load of crap just so that they'll spend more money. It's still grooming. It's what they call a confidence trick, right? You trick your way into that person's confidence. The barrier they put up, which is, you know, that their confidence, whatever, you trick your way into that, right? You con them. It's a confidence trick, right? And that's what you're doing. And if they're vulnerable, they need protecting. And if someone's young, there is a good chance that that person will acquiesce. And that means, you know what a dog does? A dog will roll over and be submissive. A child will do the same by agreeing, right? Because they are physically inferior to the adult that is doing it to them. And they want favour. We all have this need to have favour. And it's like first day at school. You're the bottom of this huge shit pile, aren't you? And you're young, you're little, and you're vulnerable. And when you join secondary school, what you're shocked by is how big the other kids are, right? And how spiteful and nasty they are. So if you go in and punch your chest out, you're going to get hurt. So you tend to acquiesce, right, in order to gain favour. And some of the most despicable people are bullies. They're bullies, right? Because they want to intimidate. Domestic violence perpetrators are bullies. They are very, very cruel people. They want to live in a world of fear. And it's amazing when we used to nick them, right? You'd turn up at the house and you'd hear them shouting and screaming, kids crying, you know, and I'm not getting into the who did what and why, or as somebody say, who flung what and why. Right, but you get them back and they start crying, you know, oh, I didn't mean, no. But they've scared the daylights out of the kids and they battered their missus about, right? Now, we don't know the full ins and outs, and, you know, it's not always the man who's at fault there, right? You know, let's not be dismissive of grey areas and everything else, but we're just taking it in a simple binary argument here, right? And it's the same when these pedo hunter people nick these, you know, they're always submissive and, oh, I didn't mean to. It's just because it's crap. They're coming out with lies. And we see this with gang violence. Right, when you get them on their own, they're not hard at all. But in a gang, they're hard. And it's bullying. And they get off on it. And maybe they've been bullied, who knows? Right, so let's take this back. Let's take this back. So if we look now on TikTok and on Facebook, these adverts come up. Were you abused in care? Were you abused in an ecclesiastical residential home? If so, call Pratt and Wanker Solicitors, blah, 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 right? Because they're profiteering out of this, and of course they are. They don't do it because they need justice. It's all about the money, all about the Reddies, the Dwayne Eddies. It's all it's about, the cash, 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 cash. They don't do it because they love the victims. You know, if they did, they would have represented these victims when they were going to court and all that, but they didn't. But they now know that there's a simple algorithm improving liability, culpability, a bit like these cash for crash and these finance things. There's a easy algorithm now. Just put in your name and that's it, we'll do the rest. And they're going to take a good lump sum of it because they make money on it, right? So if someone was abused in care and they're badly abused, they could be getting $1 million. But if they do these things, they'll get 130 grand if they're lucky. And after that, the vultures at solicitors take them. So away we go anyway. But it's still money. And really, the real vultures here are the people who abuse the children. Let's not forget that. Post-war, this country was in a very, very sorry state. And there was a lot of damaged people. And a lot of institutions cropped up, orphanages and kids' homes. And a lot of kids were put into care. And there was a lot of women that couldn't cope. You know, they were on, what was that drug they used? Valium. You know, mother's little friend, they used to call it, didn't they? Valium tablets. You know, a lot of neurotic women because there were some tough times. And these kids went into care and they were little kids. And my very, very lovely, bold, decent, admirable lion of a man, Mr. William Maloney, he tells me of being in the Catholic institution that was a care home in Mill Hill. And he did tell me, it wasn't St. Vincent's, it was, anyway, he did tell me. And he was a little, tiny little infant child, and every night, 2, 3 in the morning, a nun would deliberately wake him up by beating him with the wooden end of a large hairbrush for no reason other than she was a spiteful, twisted, evil woman. Every sort of night that happened, every night. And then we have the sexual abuse, not the SA, the sexual abuse. When we start getting censored by telling the truth, we're screwed, aren't we? And we're getting pretty near that now, aren't we? That we can't say it for what it is. I want to take people into the front room and sit them down and make them watch what happened. And that's what I used to do when I used to take my statements and do my interviews. I wanted to know what went where, how, and you know, everything. I wanted to smell it, see it, as difficult it was for me, but it didn't happen to me, it happened to them. So I had to remember that. So I had to put what I thought to one side. My anger, my repulse could all be used in getting hold of the pervert, nicking them and really giving them a hard time and doing what I could within the parameters of law and sometimes outside of it to get the justice that the victim needed to a degree, you know? Because they never fully get the justice. When the person dies, there'll be justice, you know, and that's that. But, you know, with justice comes healing. And we are lacking justice because they've deliberately eroded the police and they've deliberately ruined the judiciary. And that's because of the Attorney General's done that. The Attorney General picks the judges and they pick them with a political persuasion. So if we've got the lefty government we've got now, we're going to have more of a woke judge thing than And we have with the right. With the right wingers are just as bad. I'm not saying that they're not perverts. With the right wingers, it'll be the old boy network, wouldn't it? Be the old Etonians all getting around together, getting themselves a position in, you know, as a judge and a QC, KC and all that, and then they all tail flicks for Eton, and there they are again, a whole ring of sodomites secretly in their chambers working out how to discredit a victim, you know. So we know what they do, but they can put us down all they want, and the BBC and Panorama can go and do their programmes rubbishing the victims and then attacking people like me that go on social media and call us conspiracy theorists and perpetuators of satanic panic. They can do all that. That's okay. Do it. Go ahead. But it don't make you right. And one day you will all get old and you will all take your breath and you will be accountable. Whether you believe in a big thing in the sky or not, you will all be held accountable. So you need to know what's going on, right? And it's not as if they haven't been told, because they have. So when we had these care homes, and the parents were sometimes groomed into handing over the most precious gift that anyone could ever have, and that is a child. Not the car, not the jewellery, not the villa, the child. The child. The most precious thing, that something people give away too easily. And we know they do, and they do. They don't care, some people. Right? And they convince them they'd be better off in the home. No kid will be better off in the home unless the parents really are pieces of shit, you know? And then they go into these homes and they're frightened and they're scared and they don't want to be there. And they wet the bed. They wet the bed. And then what happens, instead of comfort and there, little Johnny, sorry about that, yeah, come on. You'll be back with mummy soon. No. They get beaten. They get humiliated. They get harsh, acrid, alkali soap shoved in their gob. They get scrubbed with brushes in freezing cold baths. But that's where it starts. And then something happens to them that they don't understand because they're kids. They get bent over and then they get sodomised or raped or whatever it is. And then those in charge get other kids to do it. And therein comes a conspiracy of silence. Therein turns a victim into a perpetrator. And that's why many people can't come forward, because it weren't their fault, but they were coerced into it. They were forced, they were bullied, they were made to do it. You know, one guy told me something. This was a tough guy. And he said to me, he had a twin. Now I'm a twin. And they were taken from the kids' home where they'd been abused. Mum and dad weren't much good, so the kids home got hold of them. They abused them sexually, physically, morally, every which way. And they were taken to a party, again with posh, tobacco smelling, pipe smoking, wealthy English gentlemen. He was later to recognise one of them as a circuit judge for South London and Surrey as his abuser, who went on to try him. Twice I've heard that story, from the same Crown Court as well. Guildford. There you go. But as a little kid, he was then forced to rape his own sister, and he wouldn't do it. And they said to him, if you don't, these men are going to do it. And he said, John, so many people have done it to anyway, so what would it matter? And they said they'd do it to another girl as well. This guy went on to become a very, very violent criminal and a very, very damaged, emotionally broken man. But it weren't his fault. This is what they do. So when we're going about Pakistani grooming gangs, aren't we taking the focus away from these people as well? What about the ecclesiastical abuse? The church schools, the boarding colleges, the Protestant Church of England, the Catholic institutions, the independent ones like Vincent de Paul and the Sisters of Nazareth, where it all went on there. Horrors, culminating in hundreds of child skeletons being found buried, right, in a secret grave in the back of a convent. What went on to result in that? So when we look at Pakistani grooming gangs, are we not taking the focus away from that as well? I think we are. And I think we're doing injustice to all those victims and survivors that are out there now, that are mentally ill, that are heavily traumatised, that went through fucked up marriages, screwed up sexual preferences, suicidal tendencies and success in suicide, some of them, many of them, alcoholism, schizophrenia, domestic violence, right? All of that went on. Were they victims of Kashmiri Pakistanis? No, they weren't. They were victims of grooming gangs. And we need to keep the focus on this. A pedo is a pedo. Whether the government allows it because of their religion and their colour or not, we don't allow it. And God don't allow it. And if they hide behind any of it, they're in trouble. They're definitely in trouble when they die. And anyone who allows it, who turns their back on it, come on. Come on. You were brought up with better morals than that. Would you walk by while someone kicked a puppy to death? I don't think you would. So why shut your mouth when you know that someone's a child? There's a policewoman from Lincolnshire, I think, a sergeant, and she spoke out live on air from work at what a crock of shite the police is. What an amazing woman. I don't know her name. I want to talk to her. Right? I want to put my arms around her and say, sister, we're all with you. But there are people that put crap comments on, slating her and her, the old builder pigs. I mean, how damaged are they? How damaged are they? I get attacked. They say, I don't name names. There's one guy who does it all the time, gobs off, Jon Wedger, don't name names. I have named names. Go, if you're that proactive, and get my transcript in a civil court. I've named them all. Get my ICSA statement, that's a public document, a 52-page document. They're all named on that. But if you want me to stand here and laugh myself on the public forum, it ain't going to happen. I don't need to do that. Go and read my statement. It's a public document. They're named on that. All of them. All the officers are named on that. Right? And those involved, they're on that document. 2 documents. And it's also registered in Hansard's in Parliament because I gave an address to Theresa May and her staff. So it's all there. I've done it. And I've not done it on trashy social media. I've done it in the belly of the beast in Parliament. You know? So there you go, I have done it. So, and that's the thing, we get caught up in these petty, silly little squabbles. We've got to keep the focus where it is. Look at what grooming is. And the manipulation of a friendship of a vulnerable person with the purpose of abusing them. Right? Keep your focus on that. With that in mind, we can expand the concept of a grooming gang and go after the bigger picture of the grooming gangs, as well as the Kashmiri cab drivers. If they're grooming kids, they should get it. Too right, they should get it. And if a white politician in local government, councillor stands up for them, they should get it as well. Right? That's wrong. That's malfeasance in the public office, and hopefully the grooming gang scandal will reveal that. Right? But let's not forget what's going on. Right? Things evolve. Like I've said before, I've dealt with Albanians came over here. We gave them refuge after the conflict. And some Albanians went on to form grooming gangs. I've dealt with Kosovans, very pro-British the Kosovans, right? They were liberated by the parachute regiment, if we remember, right? Kosovans were doing it. There were Kosovan guys doing it. I've dealt with Jamaicans, trendy Jamaicans, in their 20s and their 30s, with trendy street names everyone thought was good. They were doing it. Not all the Jamaicans, but this little clique were. Women. As a woman, she was doing it. She was going round to the little girls whose mums were crack addicts, crack whores as we call them, and saying, I'll look after your girl while you're out. Oh, give me your little daughter. Did their hair for them, took them to the pictures, bought them little things, did their nails, made them feel warm and did things that a woman should be doing. Combed the hair, looked after them, and they loved her. They loved her up until the point where she made men have sex with them for money. And then they didn't love her anymore. But they loved her a bit more when she gave them crack. And then when she wanted that crack, again, them little kids, they loved her a bit more, so she gave them a bit more crack. And then come the heroin. And then they couldn't get away from her. Remember the lyrics of the Stranglers song, Golden Brown, about heroin. It said, there's a lyric line in it, it said, on the ship yet tied to the mast. And that's what heroin does, and that's what they were doing. They call it blind faith. Dogs do it. Kick a cat, you kick it once, it buggers off. Kick a dog, comes back. A guy said to me once, give a dog a hard time, it has a hard life. Kids are no different. Give your kid a hard time, it has a hard life, doesn't it? Tell your kid he's stupid, she's ugly, it never amount to nothing. That's all they're going to hear. They'll walk around for the rest of their lives looking down at their feet, making poor life choices. And that's really the low end of it. And then to sexually abuse your own child. What sort of a mindset is that? What sort of a twisted individual would do that? And then allow other people to do it, make money for it, profiteer from it. And do you know another one who does grooming? I'm going to shock you now. Kids. Kids groom kids. Shocking, isn't it? When I was working on the inquiry, Operation Manzana, into the young girls just down the road there in Westminster that have been picked up from care homes or from foster parents or whatever, groomed, treated nice, given crack cocaine and heroin, then pimped out. So, you know, part of their briefing, get your mate involved. You know that little girl you hang around with, get her involved. Come on, go and get her involved. So she would. How else do they get so many kids? They get the kids to get the kids. Conspiracy of silence once again. Jon Wedger, the conspiracy theorist. That's what I was called by the Minister of Transport. Jon Wedger is a conspiracy theorist. Journalists have called me that as well. Satanic panic conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy, where two or more people collude for a common goal, criminal intent. But they can't be husband and wife. They work in concert with each other. That is a conspiracy. Is sex abuse a theory? No, it's not a theory. It's a reality. So conspiracy is not a dirty word. It's a descriptive word. Theory is what scientists do. Atheists, they like a theory, don't they? I'm a Christian. I don't believe in any theory. I believe in the one who came to protect the kids, Jesus. And I want to do his work and expose those who do it. And tell the world that this went on and it still goes on. And we need to know the realities. We need to know it. We need to purge the truth. And kids are used to get other kids involved. One brave soul told me that when a false allegation was made about him being a regular truanter, and the reason he ran away from school was because a teacher had raped him. He was too frightened to go back. But it was embellished and he was shoved in a care home. All he knew was mum and dad. And then this thing happened to him and it changed him. It made him shrink into his shell. He stopped talking, he stopped eating, he became withdrawn. And he got put into a kids' home. That'll sort him out. The first night there, the staff pinned him down and made other boys, adolescent boys, sodomise him. That was a regular thing, a regular thing. He went on to become a very violent and prolific criminal. Hater of society and everything, really. He'd done nothing wrong. But what had happened? The other kids were involved in a conspiracy. He said in a dorm of 10, 8 of them killed themselves. 8 of them killed themselves. Can't cope with the shame. It's not their shame, you see, to carry. But they feel the shame because they were made to do it. They were part of the conspiracy. So when you stand up and speak out, you've got to be clean, because if you're caught up in any conspiracy, the government are going to use it against you. But those boys that did it to him, did that make them paedophiles? Did it? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because when we take the timeline back, we take it, you know, right the way back. What made these monsters? What made them? Abuse made them. Lack of love made them. You know, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. So it is a big deal. It's no big brain ache, is it really? You know, it's a no-brainer, as the saying goes. So the grooming gang inquiry. Let's hope it does it to, you know, to the full degree of what grooming gangs are. Really, the whole spectrum of grooming gangs and what grooming gangs are. Let's hope it does. Let's hope it does justice for all the survivors of grooming gangs, past and present. Let's hope it does that. But it's going to be raw and it's going to be painful, and people need to speak out. And I implore people, speak out. Speak out. Right, let's know the truth. There was a guy that was arrested once. My friend was a senior detective on the inquiry. Time for a bit of tea. And it literally was just down the bottom from where I am now, up on this block of flats. And the guy's brought into custody, and he's murdered someone. He's got an axe, and he's gone and stuffed it in a guy's head, an elderly man's head. What a bastard. What a bastard. And the guy did it, was a drug addict, scaffolder, builder, with previous for violence. That's it. You know, open and shut case. Don't take it any further. That's it, case done. Bloke admits it, yeah, I did it. And my friend did something. He sat him down and he interviewed him properly, like a proper detective should. My friend wanted to know who, what, why, where, how. So he said to him in good old-fashioned tradecraft of sexual abuse investigator, he said, tell me what happened, son. He weren't judgmental. He wasn't glowing in the victory of someone making an early admission. The guy was going to prison, and that's it. That was on the cards. And he was going to put his hands up first day, and that was on the cards. But my mate wanted to know why. Why? And this bloke broke down. History of violence, history of alcoholism, history of drug taking. Not a nice guy, really, on paper. Who was a victim? A very well-respected middle-class white man. He was a professor, former schoolmaster, an academic, a valued member of society. That's what he was. So if we lay that before us and all that, we've made our judgment, haven't we? We've already made our judgment. But right, tell me what happened, son. Why? Why? And this lad broke down. He said, you know, I was abused at home. I had a tough home life. And I was put into a kid's home. So I was a little kid, I was puny and frightened. And there was a guy who worked in there, the headmaster of it. He took a liking to me and groomed him. And then that grooming become touching, and that touching become intimate, and he raped him. And it went on and on and on, and then the violence came along with this sexual abuse. And that was that's life. That was it. Like I said, you give a dog a hard time, it has a hard time. And that's what all that kid knew. He hated society. He hated education. Well, he couldn't even bother to learn. Do you know why? Do you know why some of them have no attention span, the victims? It's called hypervigilance. Because at night they're like a fox, they're hypervigilant, because they know that in the darkness of that night, that's when the wolf's coming. So they stay awake, too frightened to shut their eyes. They want to be ready. And of course, at some point, your brain's going to shut down, and that happens during the day. And they're knackered, and they don't learn. And then there's a hatred of authority to boot. It all compacts, it all comes together, doesn't it, like a little jigsaw. So he leaves school with no education, gets minor work in the buildings, homeless, drinking far too much because of the emotional baggage he's carrying around, the shame, the embarrassment, the pain, the heartache, it's all there. The beer, the drugs, they take it away, don't they? And of course, sooner or later he's going to get in trouble, which he did. The violence goes along with it, gets caught, gets banged up, gets put in a juvenile institution, which then leads way to the low category prison, boom, 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 and up it goes. He becomes a career criminal. And whilst in prison, he learns a trade. He learns bricklaying. And his mind is set. He's going to turn this around. He's going to turn this negative into a positive. He's going to go out and show the world who he really is, and he's going to make an honest dollar. And that's what he does. He starts putting it right. And whilst he's doing it, he gets a job down the road from here, one of the many building sites. Back in the day, the sort of on the periphery of this place. And he's working away, and he's cleaned himself up. He's no longer smashed out of his head, doing the coke, settling down, making a go of it. He's taking his tools away. The end of a Friday, a hot summer's week of work in grafting. And as he looks over the scaffolding, he sees an old man making his way to the underground station. Right? Swiss Cottage underground station, let's be precise about it. Not far from here. And he thinks, I recognise that. And this feeling of foreboding and dread comes over him. It can't be. It can't be. So he goes home and he's rattled. He has a drink. And there's a bit of a chaos that weekend. He backslides. He reverts. He goes on one. A bender. You know, goes on a Leo Sayer, an all-dayer. Puts it behind him. Come Monday, carries on. Maybe it won't. Friday finishes, packing his tools away. Same boy, same old man, same time, walking by. And he gets a glimpse of the guy's face. It's him. It's him. It's his old master, the rapist. The middle-class white professor who actually is masquerading as that. Underneath is a groomer, a monster, a beast, a sodomizer of young boys, a destroyer of souls, masquerading as a valued member of society. And that's it, he's gone. He's gone. He's on it. He can't keep it together. Right. On his way to buy loads of booze to get totally and utterly annihilated, he goes past B&Q. He buys an axe. And whilst in a drunken stupor, he thinks of what he's going to do. He's going to get retribution. He's going to get his own back. But he holds it together. He goes back to work, and it's never the same. Doing the best together, but it ain't. Them old demons of rage, hatred, and anger, they've all come back again. And then he sees him that last week, and it all kicks off again. And he makes his mind up. This time next week, he's getting it. He does his best, he tries to help, but who'd listen? Who understands? No one, he's isolated. No one knows the pain that's going on. And then that Friday comes, and it's all he's been thinking about all week, right? He's been fantasising about this. This is a time to get this right. And he waits, he sees him, axe in hand, straight down the scaffolding, wallop, right between, bang, right on top of the bloke's head. He splits his skull in two. And the score has been settled. But what did the public see? A loony, the statements, this nutcase came screaming round with an axe, this madman. Bang. That's what they saw. But really what was happening was a frightened little boy screaming out for justice. A scared, frightened little boy that had no one to protect him, biting back because he's had enough. And bless him, my mate Davey made the effort. And he said to the guy, you've got to tell the jury that. You have to tell them, they need to know that you ain't a monster. The newspaper said he was and everything else, it all went before him. But he said, you've got to tell them. He went, I can't tell you, but I can't. He said, you've got to, please. Made my mate cry. My mate gave him a hug. A murderer, an ex-murderer, a lunatic. But was he? No, he was a frightened, broken little boy. So this is why we need to know all the information. We need the full story. We need it all. And that's important. So we've got to be careful when we cherry pick. We've got to be very, very careful because we don't know the whole story. So there you go. I hope I've cleared a few things up on that one. All right? So grooming gangs. So when you think of it, try and broaden your mind. Your mind's like a parachute. It only works when it's open, as someone once said to me. No, you need to know everything. All right. Well, thank you so much for these comments that have been coming up. I hope this has been educational. I really appreciate it. There's a lot more I want to do on. I earned 58 pence from YouTube last week. 58 pence. There you go. Big time, eh? Look at how much we're saying hashtag Brady earns. He's at 40 grand a month. I earn 58p. So the more people like, share, subscribe, I don't know how it works. You know, I can carry on. I work for almost minimum wage. What's that? Who knows? All know, but needs a public to do something. I'm lost. Yeah, whoever that person is, I'm going to block you because you've not listened. Again, Phantom Profit. Why don't you put your real name, my friend, Phantom Profit? Slagging me off there, saying about names. I mentioned it, didn't I? Didn't I just mention it? You know, listen. You're going to get blocked because I think you're. Hang on. That's it. I'm going to remove. That's it. Gone. Phantom Profit. You can go. You have now been removed. Right. I just want to block. Hi. That's it. There we go. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Phantom Profit, go away. Phantom Profit. What's that even mean? Phantom Profit. You try and do something educational and some people still don't get it. They just don't get it. Paula Brown in the house. Paula Brown, how are you? One of my very first followers, Paula, and a proud member of the travelling community. God bless you, Paula. Thank you so much for your loyalty and support. I really value it. God bless. You're a good person. So thank you so much. And Mr. Khan, how are you, mate? And you know, that's it. And you're right. The parks of no return. Right? People are listening. They are. And I like to think that people like myself, Lenny Harper, Mike Veal, officers who spoke out whilst we were working, there's a message that I've got to press this to read it. Don't listen to the dicks, John. I know. It's really weird. So on YouTube you get it, but it's okay. The odd comment, but they domineer the comments. They just sit there and they must be tapping away with a little roll up fag in there, go tapping away like that, and a little council trap, you know. And so it's yeah, they do get on your nerves. They do get on your nerves. But You know, thank you everyone. But anyway, so that's that. I'll be doing another a little one. I'm going to put these little anecdotes in as I go along, and try and I want to bring that rawness into people's eyes. I want them to understand what them frightened kids went through. You know, I really want you to understand. And when someone fears you, it's horrible. But some people get off on it. They get turned on by it. They like it. They like it. They like people being scared of them. I've got a dog, right? Lucky, the old Luckster, right? And Lucky was badly beaten and bullied, right? And kept in a cage. Lucky was so badly treated that Lucky couldn't walk properly because he had no muscles in his leg because they kept him in the cage, and just frightened of everything, frightened. And Lucky did a job in the house which I weren't too happy about. So if you're watching Lucky, you know, that weren't good. And I got a bit angry and I shouted and whatnot, as you would do. But the dog was so frightened of me, it upset me beyond belief. And it was a dog. So imagine a child, they're so small, they can't defend themselves, and when a grown man is screaming and shouting and all that, the fear that must be flowing through their bodies. And that fear, it leaves a blueprint on the soul. It changes the DNA of that person. It does. It alters the whole vibe. I work with a lovely guy, and I'm not going to mention him out of total and utter respect, but he came from a job, what we call a job family. I think a lot of police in his family, you know. And why am I not part of the patriotic movement? Well, they've not invited me, so they don't want me in their gang. They know who I am. They could speak to me if they want, whoever these, you know, but they don't. They don't want me in their gang. So anyway, whatever. Right, anyway, but they know where I am. They can talk to me, the patriotic movement. What's that? Paul, Liam, Tommy, they know where to find me. It's up to them, isn't it? Anyway, right, so this guy, his father was a high-ranked officer in the flying squad. And this fella, his son, I worked with him, and he was nice. He's a nice guy. He's a lovely guy. But for some people, he could be an acquired taste. He could be a bit cutting with his comments, and they were seen as being obtuse. They were seen as being rude. But he was actually a very, very kind, generous, and incredibly diligent and hard-working lad. And the DI needed to have a cull. Every month you'd have a cull, and you'd have to lose staff because as the inquiry scaled down, it's a major inquiry. And he said to me, I've got to lose a couple of people. And he wanted to keep a couple of trendy geezers on, you know, and wanted to ditch this lad who I've been working with. I went, don't get rid of him. He went, well, he upsets people. I said, but oh, look, what's happening? My light's gone out. Oh, it's back on. I said, he's a really good worker. He's actually brilliant. And he's kind as well. I said, he's just a bit odd, I'd say. And I don't mean that if the guy's watching and he's sort of sussed out I'm on about him. And he said, all right, I'll keep him. I said, I tell you, you won't regret it. And he went on to become one of the best detectives on that unit. He went on to do quite well in the police. And he thanked me. And he said, look, I'm getting married. I'd like you to come to my wedding. So I went along to his wedding. And a couple of weeks before, he said, look, my dad, how do you treat your kids? And I went, they're like my pals, you know. But I'm in charge, I'm daddy, but, you know, they're my pals. And they are, my kids are my mates. He went, my dad was a pig. He said, everyone thought he was brilliant, this tough guy on the flying squad. He said, he used to beat us, John, with belts really badly. You know, he'd make it stand there and hit one, whip the other one, and the other one had to watch. He said he was a right bastard to us. You know, really real bastard to us. And he said, have you ever done that? I went, I never laid a finger on my kids. I've called them bellends and shouted at them and things like that, but I never touched them. Never would I want to. You know? I'd hate them to be frightened of me. He went, he's a pig to me. He said, that's why, John, I'm a bit odd, you know, when people get the hump with me. And when I went to his wedding, at the top table, his dad weren't there. I said, where's he said, I made him sit over there. I don't want him next to me. He said, will you sit next to me on the top table? Well, that's where your dad should be. He went, no. He said, F him, he ain't sitting next to me. I want you there. You know, and but what a thing to do, and to grow up. My lovely friend out there, and if you're watching, Mr. Davy Brown, Cornish, we know him as. You're not a well man. Cornish was once classed as Britain's most violent man, a bulk of a man. I mean, this guy's built like a rhino, but the loveliest guy I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Me and him had a tree surgery business together. I really got to know this guy well, and his dad was a beast to him, a real beast. And Dave went on to get involved in serious acts of serious violence, and he went on to serve many decades in prison, many decades. And his dad was dying, and he said to me, my dad's dying, I don't know what to do. He said, he just caused misery. I said, well, go and tell him that then. He said, what? I said, tell him, be honest and tell him. And he did. On his dad's deathbed, he told him, he said, you ruined my life and you ruined my brother's life. You've been nothing but a pig to us. I said, they need to know, these people, what they've done. They need to know what they've done. And they're bullies. They are bullies, you know. Tough guy, innit? It's all that tough guy, hard guy. You'll be tough when you stand before the one who's going to judge you. Let's see how tough you are then. You know, you can hide it, you can keep that veneer of respectability, but one day you'll be stripped bare. You will. You'll be stripped bare before the one who's going to judge you. And you can't run, you can't hide. So do you know what? Stop doing it. Stop it. Stop it now. And put right what you've done wrong. That's my message, you know. Someone said, can I ask you a question? Well, go on then, ask me a question then. As long as it's not on sport. I'm no good on sports, but geography and capital cities, I'm good on them. So go ahead, the gaming guy, ask me a question. Right. Go ahead. Go ahead. No takers. Someone said, is that Harry? It's a good old British name, Harry, and Harry. I think you're a psychic. Yeah, it has been said, my friend, it has been said. I'm a slow typo. Yeah, well, hurry up. Do I press that button then or something? It's like a crown come up, do I? I don't know what to do there. Yeah, if you could, I'm gonna have to go in a minute. Abusers are charmers. That's how, of course. That's exactly how it works. Exactly how it works. You know, it's horrible, isn't it? Horrible. Yeah, we won't. I know it, and it's words. Words hurt. There's some fantastic comments. Really, honestly, I would like to. Can you say hi to my partner, Lewis? We're watching. Oh yeah, he's a big fan. Oh yeah, Dan Binstead. Is that Lewis, your partner? Yeah, hi. Hang on, I'll get the light on there for that because I don't want you. Dan and Louis or whatever. Hi, big thank you so much, and I mean that. Thank you for following a fan. You know, is there a connection between Elm Guest House and the thing in Southend's interesting. Anyway, so Dan and your partner, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you so much. I mean that. Yeah, this Elm Guest House. And the Southend inquiry is a big deal. There is a guy doing a story on that at the moment. You know, yeah, that's right. There is a guy who wrote. He's done a film, isn't it? Is it Big Boys Don't Cry? I did speak to him a little while back. That's based on the Southend home. It was a big thing went on at Southend, and there was. I think there was a murder involved in that, but I'll look it up again because I know a guy that has done a long-term investigation into that, and he's trying to get the Nationals to do a story on it, on the Southend Inquiry. They're all linked. We got to understand, these kids get moved about from home to home and home as they did back then, and there was a bounty that went with that, especially in the Scottish system with the quarriers' homes. And if a kid was moved, there was money made on it, and that's what trafficking is. And they would go and they'd get abused, and it'd be on their record if they were compliant, or if they had an older brother, or they had a mum and dad that were concerned about them, or they were connected to tough people. They didn't really get it, but those that had no one got it bad. You know, they really got it bad. And yeah, St Leonard's in Hornchurch, that I knew a guy that was in there, and he was from Tottenham, and he'd come to see me. He was a heroin addict. He was on the street, and he was in there. He said he was like the daddy of that home. He said I was like the governor of that home, and he said, and he went on to become a tough guy, you know, all around the Tottenham area. And he said to me, there was a knock on the door, and there was two detectives, and I could hear my missus saying, yeah, what do you want? They was in a block of flats, and they said, we want to talk to this fella. It's to do with this St Leonard's home. He said, John, I went from the big hard man, ready to fight the coppers, to the tiny little schoolboy frightened. And he said, and I jumped straight out the window, down the pipe, over the balcony, boom. And he said, and I went and I hid. And he hid on some allotments for a week. He's curled up in this little shed and cried and cried and cried like a little boy, because it took him straight back to it. So shocking things went on in them homes, you know. And the Pie Mash guy, Billy Maloney, he's okay. He's okay. He could be a lot better, but the trauma's taken its toll on him. But he is without a doubt one of the bestest men I've ever met in my life. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Wilfred Wrong. Wilfred's still serving his time. He's now in a prison in. They've downgraded him. He was quite a high category. I think it was a Cat A prisoner. Now they've downgraded him. He's in the prison in Peterborough. You can write to him. I'll put the details up if people want to write to Wilfred. But Home Secretary said he's got to serve 11.5 years. He got a hard sentence, Wilfred, you know. So he sort of stopped contact with the outside world. There was a lot of communication between me and him for the first 2 years, and then he stopped it. So he's been banged up for about 4 years now. So it's not good. But listen, party people, I've nearly been on here an hour. I've barred one person, so I had to bar one last week who was just talking rubbish and all that. So I'm doing my own moderating, which I'm really happy about. There's some lovely old faces, and do you know what? I'm just quite. I've got to read the comments, sit down and read them, because there's people here that Aussie, the Geordie, is it Lombax? What's a Lombax? No? Well, hi anyway. And Suleiman, hello, how are you? I know quite a few Suleimans. The Fuengirola Strangler. well, yeah, buenas tardes, you know. So, Fuengirola Strangler. Oh, I don't want to know. Yeah, thank you so much. I bet it's hotter there than it is here anyway. And someone from New Zealand. Listen, I've got to go because I'm boring. I've not got anything to say. I'm just saying hello to people, and it's you know, yeah, soy inglés. Oh, good. Yeah. So, 46. Oh my word, 46. No way. I think if you combine the temperatures throughout the week, it don't even come to 46 in this country. This is our summer gone. So anyway, goodbye from London. Let's just do a panoramic round London. There we go. Let's try and squeeze that down. There we go. Let's just take you over. I'll show you the. There we go. So that's Camden over there in this area. There we go, Camden, the tower blocks of Camden. Move our way over. There we go, the East End. Core blimey. Move to the city. There we go, Canary Wharf. There we go, Canary Wharf, look, the pyramid. There we go. And it's just madness from there. There we go, St Paul's. St Paul's. And there we go, that's London for you. So, good night from London. Good night from Jon Wedger up on the roof. Brew with a view. Been going many years now. And thank everyone for all your support. It's been amazing. And I'm so happy to see some old faces on there. Some of the old school. Old Brownie, good to see you. Good to see you. And right, so that's me. So buenas noches, everyone. Sleep well, and hopefully I'll be back. If not in the week, maybe I'll do a swim. Going to get back into swimming, get back into my fitness a bit, and what have you. I don't know if people know I had a bit of a serious health scare, bit of internal stuff going on. I don't know, but I'm fighting back and whatnot, and you know, so. Up and at 'em and all that sort of stuff. So we'll keep going out there. Book coming out Christmas time, I hope, and I'll do little anecdotes, little stories. And if there's anything anyone wants me to look into, I'm going to do a little look into this case with this guy, Jason Moore. Someone's asked me to look into that, and a member of the family asked me as well. So I'm going to look into that. He's looks like he's been proper stitched up. So I'm going to do a little bit of work on that stuff, but if there's anything pressing anyone needs me to look at, I'm not a lawyer, I can't represent anyone in court, family court, it's just too much, I haven't got the time. I can help a few people,